Hey, welcome to the show. I'm the Crypto Kid. In these videos, we take a look at Bitcoin and everything that's going on in the world of cryptocurrency. So if you're new to the show, welcome. We make daily videos and keep it relevant to what's going on in the news. So let's jump right in this morning and take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Now, as you can see, we are sitting at around $1,500, and we had some pretty impressive gains overnight, reaching highs of around $1,600, coming up from around that $1,400, and we have found a comfortable spot around $1,500 currently, and it seems as though we've leveled out and found some ground to stay on for the next foreseeable future. But again, we have seen some pretty impressive movement over the last 24 hours. So let's jump over and take a look at Bitcoin Core. And again, it seems as though we've found some resistance at around that $17,000 mark. But we did see a breakthrough above that $16,400 early yesterday afternoon. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. But today we want to talk about something a little different. Head over to CoinMarketCap and you can see that there is a lot of green across the board, more specifically over on Litecoin. Now there's been a lot of talk about Litecoin being used as a payment system, and if you're following these shows and you know a little bit about Bitcoin Cash, you might be shaking your head or palm in face here. But let's jump over to Litecoin and just see what they're talking about. Basically, they pride themselves as a peer-to-peer internet currency that enables instant, zero-cost payments to anyone in the world. Well, that might be true to some degree, but there's a lot of talk and a lot of, blatant lies all over the internet too. So you look at Bitcoin.org, they're claiming the same thing: fast peer-to-peer transactions, worldwide payments, and low processing fees. Well, maybe at one time years ago this was true, but as you know, I can't remember the last time I sent Bitcoin to any of my peers that was fast, let alone having low processing fees. So, this brings me to a point. It is really important to use critical thinking when you have, come across anything in life. Basically, it's the objective analysis of facts to form judgment. The subject is complex, and there are several different definitions, but a few of them I just wanted to go over here are as follows. The process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, and analyzing, synthesizing and evaluating information to reach an answer or a conclusion. And that is really what you have to do, especially in today with so much bogus news coming out. You really have to have the ability to think clearly about what to do or what to believe, because really there's a lot of noise out there, and it really comes down to making an educated and analytical evaluation on the facts. So I throw that at you because there's a lot of talk about Litecoin being the solution to those high fees and fast payments, or slow transactions, I should say, with Bitcoin Core. Now, in my opinion, you're seeing huge gains with Litecoin because a lot of those invested in Bitcoin Core are saying this is absolutely ridiculous. If I can't use it, if I can't spend it, if it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to move it, I got to have another option here. So most people are either not aware of Bitcoin Cash, or they've been blatantly lied to, throwing mud in their eyes about the situation here. So I wanted to go over that today because I feel like there's a lot of valid points here. First and foremost, if you're on Coinbase, of course, Litecoin looks like a pretty desirable option because there is no other option there. But if you jump over to this article here on Yours.org, the CEO of Yours.org, Ryan X. Charles, came out with this article about 2 months ago now. So this is nothing new, but it goes over why they chose Bitcoin Cash over Litecoin. Now, this is kind of spells it out for everything here because, yeah, you go on Coinbase and sure, I've even used Litecoin in the past. It's a cheaper alternative to Bitcoin Core. But if the option was there to use Bitcoin Cash, which hopefully it will be, it would be a no-brainer. Especially, and this is the concept, the other side of the coin here, is in the business world, in commerce. Now, this is, these are million-dollar companies, and little adjustments and those little fees, they add up huge with these large companies, and especially over time. So some points I wanted to make that I came across in this article, and again, I would invite you to use critical thinking. I'll leave the links below, so do the research yourself. Again, these videos are just my opinion, and I try to display the facts as clearly as I can. But here's a few that jumped out to me. Now, using Litecoin, Yours.org realized that the code is so complicated that they had so many barriers to implement this, this coin or this blockchain into the websites. Now, it's complicated in the sense that it's 10 times longer, But they were spending 90% of their time fixing all these little issues that came up with the payment channel that they had to run Litecoin off. So because of that, there was all these issues that happened, and in the end, they were finding that there was only 50% reliability when users were sending and receiving these one-click payment systems. But not only that, the fees were insane. So they were paying, sure, low fees, maybe 5 cents, but that does not allow for micropayments. That does not allow for a quick, easy-to-use payment system, especially when you're sending around pennies. Because with Bitcoin Cash, as we know, you can send around 5 cents before it even stops for transaction fees. For Litecoin, you couldn't do that. For Bitcoin Core, forget it. So the other thing that really resonated with me with Litecoin being used here is that it didn't work seamlessly with the website. With Litecoin, they had to implement different applications. You had to download wallets. Not only that, it was dependent on the software you're using, where you're using iOS or Android, and you could only use it on one device. It wouldn't let you hold your private keys. It was just a horrible user experience. And so what they did is they switched over to Bitcoin Cash. And in doing so, they found that the fees were less than a fraction of a penny, 0.0015. It was almost unnoticeable, meaning you could have these instant click payments in micropayments. That you could send almost the smallest amount of money that you'd want to send with no repercussions and no fees. So it's pretty important to realize that the difference between Litecoin and Bitcoin Core are almost indistinguishable. They both use SegWit. They're both planning to use Litecoin or Lightning Network, which Litecoin currently uses. And in that sense, they're almost, or I should say Litecoin is almost a clone of Bitcoin Core. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, with Bitcoin Cash, you can see here that Bitcoin Cash will continue to be useful for payments as low as 1 cent indefinitely. But with Litecoin, if this is on the same path, the same track as Bitcoin Core, you can assume that, peer-to-peer internet currency is not going to last long for this blockchain. Now, they might continue to say that like Bitcoin Core does, but it won't be true. Now, again, you can see real-world cases all over with Bitcoin Cash being used. And as Roger Ver says, if you don't offer your customer the best product or the best user experience and at the lowest price, they're going to go somewhere else. And that is the case here. Clearly, with Yoursorg, they found a much better alternative with 100% certainty, fees that are basically unnoticeable, and not only that, with on-chain scaling, they're guaranteed to have fees moving forward well under a cent for a long time, well into the future. So again, with Bitcoin Cash, they didn't need to use wallets. They could spend majority of their time. I think they said in this article that it sped up 10% or 10 times faster for development and progress. Not having to spend 90% of your time on these little fixes. It was just a no-brainer. So again, I wanted to make clear that as we move forward with all these new cryptocurrencies, there are going to be competitors to one another. It's going to be a highly competitive market, but it is important, again, to do your own research, to figure out what the history is here, because as people move more and more money out of Bitcoin Core and into other coins like Litecoin and potentially Monero and Zcash, because of that utility, that need for utility and need to be used as an exchange, as a real currency. To me, the real choice is clear. Stick with the original chain. It is not changed much, except for on-chain scaling and that continued ability to scale on-chain, to keep those fees low and those transaction costs down and quick. It's already here. So lastly, I just wanted to leave you with this website here. If you did want to check out the comparison between any two currencies, you can do it here on walletinvestor.com. Here we have Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin compared. You can kind of see the price, the market cap, available supply. Pretty neat website to check out. Otherwise, there's a pretty cool video that came out. This is the front page here on CNBC Fast Money. Our man Roger Ver was interviewed over the phone there. Pretty awesome article, or interview I should say, if you want to check it out. It's also available on Roger Ver's YouTube page. So I will leave a link to that below, but again, I would recommend you check it out, because if you are new to Bitcoin Cash, it really spells it out. It gives you some pretty fact-based information on why the future of Bitcoin Cash looks bright. And I mean, we've seen that across the board in terms of what's happening in Japan with their cryptocurrency ecosystem that they're using that's funded directly with Bitcoin Cash. for user-based experiences, as well as Bitcoin.com coming out with the potential wallet, or I should say the Visa debit card. There is a lot in the news and a bright future ahead for Bitcoin Cash. So just keep watching these videos if you're interested, because we will continue to monitor Bitcoin Cash, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.